Hello, welcome to the Revitalize the Total Woman podcast. I am your senior host and your coach, Coach McKnight. Super excited to be here on today. I'm live from actually Norfolk, Virginia. I'm in a different city, but the same state. But welcome to the podcast. That's the media outlet. This is a media outlet for a nonprofit that's based in Chesapeake, Virginia. The nonprofit is called Women of Elevation Career Services International. And the whole mission of the podcast and the nonprofit is to empower women like yourself with the tools to be able to create, relate, and elevate. We focused on the first core area of creating during the first 4 months of this year. And then we're transitioning now, whereby in this month, the month of May, which of course is coming rapidly, of course, to an end. And of course, throughout the month of June, we focus in on personal relationships. And then July and August, we focus on professional relationships. So we're helping you to master relationships during pretty much the summer. Okay, that's what we're doing here. So definitely stay tuned. We're here Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, thank you so much for you and your sisters and your aunts, everyone else tuning in. Be sure to share it. Share information about this podcast with other women that you know so that they can enhance their relationships as well. One thing I can tell you is that if you really want to dive deep and you want to learn more about what we do, you can visit the website, which is www.womenofelevatio.com, where we're going to make it our business that every weekend the website is updated, that there's a new blog post so that we can keep you engaged, even on the website. There's nothing worse than having a website that does not change and is not updated. So we're going to try our very best to make sure that the website is indeed updated. So, what are we talking about tonight, during this episode? One of the things that I posted on my timeline actually today was, the question of whether age becomes a factor with dating, or should Stella wake up? Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Stella, or of course the movie, how Stella got her groove back, right? I love that movie, actually. This is when an older woman got into a dating relationship. She was about 40 something, and she got into a relationship with a 20-year-old. He wasn't quite 21 just yet. And pretty much she fell for him, and they got a relationship started. And, he was, of course, in Jamaica. She was in the United States. She worked in the financial industry. And, she was just wondering, they were in pretty much two different generations. She's 40 something and he's 20 something. He hasn't really gotten his life started. She, on the other hand, is quite mature, has gotten her life started, went to school, has a child, right? I think he was like 10 or 11. And so, and she was divorced, right? So she's been in relationships he hasn't really quite gotten into. And if he has some relationships, they may not have been as serious. So they're in two different generations. So should age really be a factor? Well, it all boils down to a few things you have to think about. Think about, as the relationship progresses, what can potentially be issues that arise. First of all, does the younger person want children? Do you want any more children? Can you have any more children? Because once you get to a certain age, you may not be able to have children naturally. Okay, and so that always is a factor that should be considered. Number two, make sure that there is, that you really have a lot of things that you enjoy in common with one another, that you enjoy together. Okay, you're not going to be exactly the same. We do know that. But are there some things about the individual that you can kind of brush off? It's not going to be a huge major issue. We know that you're not going to see everything until, of course, after you say I do in marriage, right? We do know that. But when it comes to dating, there's nothing wrong with necessarily dating someone that's older than you, or that's, at a different time, I should say generational age than you are. But just note that if it becomes serious, you're thinking about marriage, can you potentially live with that person for the rest of your life? The things that you want in life, would that person be able to travel the journey with you to achieve them? Okay. Habits that person has. Can you overlook the habits that one person has versus your own habits? Because you have your own habits as well. So these are just some things to really think about when it comes to age. Okay? Because you don't want it to be where there's a heated argument and you throw age in that person's face, that person's so young, or you use that as a crutch every single time there's an issue. So you do not want that to become an issue. You don't want it to be the case where you're not treating one another like adults and then you try to parent the younger person. That becomes an issue and can push that younger person quickly away. Okay? And then, of course, you can't throw age in each other's face whenever there's an issue, because we know that issues are going to arise. So think about these things as you're moving forward and as you're considering dating someone that's either older than you or younger than yourself, extremely younger than yourself. Okay? There's nothing wrong with, there being an age gap, but can you live with that if the relationship becomes serious? That's always the question at hand. All right. Well, I thank you so much for listening in tonight to the episode. We're going to dive into this a bit more actually on tomorrow night. I would love to see, of course, the members who are connected to me on Facebook, what their thoughts are, because it's always interesting to note, can you date someone that's 15 or perhaps 20 years older than yourself? All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Remember, we are here. The podcast is here. The nonprofit is here to empower women like yourself with the tools to be able to create, relate, and elevate. Be blessed, and we'll speak with you on tomorrow night. Take care.